Have you ever noticed that when a woman is drawn to an older man, her curiosity often comes with a quiet test? Not a test you'll see written down or one she announces out loud, but a subtle probe into your mind, your values, and your emotional presence. These are the moments that reveal whether she sees you as someone reliable, someone grounded, someone she can feel safe around, not just someone she's attracted to physically. The first time she asks these questions, it might feel casual, almost innocent. Maybe it's a comment about how you handle a challenge at work, or a question about how you would respond to a personal conflict. On the surface, it seems simple, harmless. But beneath the words, there's a quiet evaluation happening. She's measuring patience, insight, and emotional intelligence, the kind of traits that, frankly, not every man cultivates. There's a reason older men attract this attention. It's not just about life experience or gray hair or a career that seems stable. It's about the way you carry yourself when faced with uncertainty, when confronted with pressure. Women who crave older men aren't testing your wealth or your social status, at least not primarily. They are testing your inner landscape. Can you stay calm under pressure? Can you see complexity without losing your balance? Can you respond thoughtfully instead of reacting? These are the traits that resonate deeply, even if she never says them out loud. What most men don't realize is that these moments are opportunities, not traps. They're opportunities to demonstrate maturity without preaching it. A question she asks might be small, but your response sends a signal far beyond words. Do you show confidence that's quiet but undeniable, or insecurity that seeks validation? Do you communicate understanding without over-explaining, or do you get defensive? These subtle cues, often overlooked, are exactly what she's tuning into. And here's the thing. Many men dismiss these tests as trivial. They might laugh it off or answer without considering the depth of the inquiry. But when a woman is drawn to older men, she's instinctively looking for stability, emotional, psychological, sometimes even moral. It's not a game. It's her way of checking whether you are a man who can navigate life with integrity, resilience, and composure. By the end of this video, you'll understand the two questions she always asks, and more importantly, why they matter. You'll also learn how to respond in a way that naturally aligns with her deeper instincts, without forcing anything or playing a role. But before we get there, it's important to grasp the psychology behind these moments, the unseen patterns that most men completely miss. If this sounds like the kind of insight you've been waiting for, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. The information in this video will shift how you understand women, attraction, and the subtle dynamics that older men often embody without even trying. The first question she asks, sometimes subtly, sometimes almost like casual curiosity, is about your reaction to conflict. It might be framed as, how would you handle a situation like this? Or, what would you do if someone wronged you? On the surface, it seems straightforward, even mundane. But in reality, she's observing something far deeper. Your approach to life when it doesn't go perfectly, when expectations are broken, or when someone challenges your sense of self. Women who are drawn to older men are often looking for emotional stability. They are unconsciously assessing whether you have the capacity to remain composed when life throws curveballs. In other words, she isn't just listening to your words, she's watching how you convey confidence, patience, and understanding. Do you respond with measured thought, or do you react impulsively? Do you hold space for nuance, or do you oversimplify and judge too quickly? This is where the distinction between younger and older men becomes clear. Younger men often feel pressured to give the right answer or to assert dominance, even when it's unnecessary. Older men, by contrast, have usually faced enough challenges to understand that calm reflection often speaks louder than words. And it's exactly this quality that she senses without realizing she's sensing it. She's evaluating your internal compass, your moral and emotional orientation, more than your external achievements. What most men don't realize is that there is no single correct answer. She isn't testing your problem-solving skills alone. She's testing your emotional intelligence. If you respond with empathy, perspective, and consistency, She feels a subconscious alignment with someone who can navigate life with maturity. If your reaction is defensive, aggressive, or evasive, it signals that you may not be someone who can carry the weight she unconsciously seeks in a partner. Another key element is subtle confidence. Notice that she doesn't ask these questions outright about your accomplishments. She asks about how you deal with challenges, because she wants to see confidence that doesn't need validation. She wants to see that you can handle complexity without losing your sense of calm. That quiet assurance, that presence of mind, is far more attractive than a long list of achievements or superficial charm. What's remarkable is how often men miss this entirely. They treat the question as a test of knowledge, logic, or cleverness, rather than an assessment of character. And that's why so many older men naturally excel in these situations. They've learned, often through personal hardship, that composure is far more persuasive than argument, and understanding is far more magnetic than winning. When you grasp this, you begin to see that her first question is not a test in the conventional sense. It's a probe into your emotional landscape. And your response, no matter how brief, reveals your capacity for patience, wisdom, and measured strength, the traits that older men embody in ways younger men often can't. If you're ready, I can move on to section 3, where we'll uncover the second question she always asks and explore how it taps into her deeper instincts for security, trust, and emotional resonance. The second question she asks is far subtler than the first, but in many ways, even more revealing. It often appears as curiosity about your priorities, your values, or how you spend your time. She might ask, "What do you enjoy doing when no one's watching?" Or, "What drives you day to day?" At first glance, these questions seem innocuous, almost casual. But what she's really probing is your inner alignment, your sense of purpose, and your consistency between words and actions. This question taps into something older men naturally possess, a defined sense of self. She's looking for evidence that you're not easily swayed by external pressures, that your life has direction, and that your decisions come from a stable internal compass. Younger men often struggle here because they're still figuring out who they are and what they truly value. But when an older man answers these questions with calm clarity, he demonstrates more than just experience. He demonstrates authenticity, and authenticity is magnetic. Why does this matter so much to her? Because women drawn to older men often seek emotional reliability. They instinctively know that a man whose life is aligned with his values is less likely to act impulsively, betray trust, or crumble under stress. She's assessing whether you operate from a place of integrity, whether your actions and decisions are consistent with your beliefs, and whether you are someone she can intuitively trust without having to question motives. Notice that this question is not about impressing her. It's not about boasting or proving superiority. It's about showing that your life has structure, meaning, and self-respect. The subtlety is crucial. She doesn't consciously analyze every word, but she feels the energy behind your answer. If you respond with honesty and quiet confidence, she senses a man who knows himself, who doesn't need to perform for approval, and who carries a sense of reliability that is deeply attractive on a subconscious level. Many men make the mistake of overthinking this question. They craft answers that sound impressive, trying to appear purposeful, when in reality, she is evaluating something far deeper. She wants to see your natural rhythm, your genuine priorities, and your ability to speak from experience rather than theory. This is why older men, who have lived through challenges and cultivated personal clarity, often excel in these conversations without even realizing it. The beauty of this second question is that it complements the first. While the first question measures your emotional stability and composure under pressure, the second assesses the consistency and authenticity of your daily life. Together, these two questions create a full picture of your character, your emotional intelligence, and your natural capacity to attract her without force or manipulation. When you understand these two questions and why she asks them, you begin to see that attraction isn't about charm or superficial appeal. It's about the quiet confidence that comes from experience, the subtle demonstration of integrity, and the consistency of your inner life. And once you embody this naturally, you no longer need to guess what she wants. She already senses it intuitively. Now that you understand the two questions she's testing you with, the next step is how to respond in a way that feels authentic and magnetic. This isn't about rehearsed lines, manipulation, or trying to impress her. It's about showing the traits she unconsciously craves: calmness, integrity, and emotional clarity. For the first question, the one about conflict or challenges, the key is composure. She doesn't want to hear a perfect plan or a heroic narrative. She wants to witness your thought process, your ability to hold space for complexity, and your emotional balance under pressure. The most effective response is calm, measured, and reflective. A simple structure works best. Acknowledge the challenge, show understanding of different perspectives, and demonstrate how you'd respond thoughtfully without overreacting. For example, if she asks how you'd handle someone betraying your trust, you don't need to recite strategies or threats. Instead, convey that you value clarity and fairness, that you take responsibility where appropriate, and that you maintain boundaries without letting anger dominate your decisions. This communicates that you have emotional resilience and that you operate from a grounded internal framework, not reactive impulse. She feels this on a deep level. It resonates far more than clever words ever could. The second question, the one about priorities and values, requires honesty paired with subtle confidence. She's listening to see if your life has direction and consistency. The most magnetic responses aren't flashy or rehearsed. They're natural reflections of your lived experience. Share what genuinely drives you, even if it seems mundane. What matters is that your answer aligns with your behavior and your daily life. She's unconsciously assessing whether your words match your reality, because this alignment signals reliability, maturity, and emotional safety. A critical element here is brevity. Older men who attract women often answer without over-explaining or justifying themselves. They don't feel the need to perform. They offer clarity, confidence, and calm, allowing their authenticity to speak for itself. Over-explaining or trying too hard creates doubt. It signals insecurity, even if the content of your answer is good. Another subtle but essential point is emotional neutrality. When responding, avoid defensiveness or overenthusiasm. Instead, demonstrate that your emotional state is stable and self-contained. This doesn't mean coldness. It means showing that you can be engaged, thoughtful, and present without being consumed by external pressures or validation. She will notice, even subconsciously, the distinction between someone who is emotionally centered and someone who is reactive. When you combine these approaches, something remarkable happens. You begin to naturally embody the traits she's looking for: composure, authenticity, and inner stability. These qualities are the foundation of attraction for women drawn to older men. They're not tricks or manipulations. They're reflections of lived experience and self-awareness. And once she senses these traits consistently, her subconscious aligns with them. She begins to trust you, respect you, and feel drawn to you in a way that feels effortless and unforced. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Attraction grows not from what you say, but from how you carry yourself and how aligned your words are with your life and values. By mastering this, you shift from trying to impress to naturally resonating with her deeper instincts. Even when you understand the two questions she asks, many men fall into patterns that unintentionally push her away. These mistakes are subtle, often invisible to the man himself, but they are glaring to her subconscious. The key is to recognize them, because correcting them shifts the dynamic immediately, without force, without manipulation, simply through awareness and presence. The first common mistake is over-explaining. When she asks about conflict or challenges, many men feel the need to justify every possible action, outline detailed scenarios, or prove their intelligence. This may seem logical, but it signals insecurity. It implies that you need validation or that your confidence isn't self-contained. What she actually craves is calm clarity, a response that shows you've thought about life, understood it, and can handle complexity without overcomplicating the conversation. Less is often more. A measured answer communicates far more than pages of reasoning ever could. The second mistake is defensiveness. If she challenges a viewpoint or probes a personal boundary, some men immediately feel the need to defend themselves or argue their point. This is a subtle trap. When a woman tests an older man, she's not trying to provoke a debate. She's observing your composure, your ability to navigate tension without losing yourself. Defensiveness signals volatility, while calm engagement signals stability, maturity, and emotional intelligence. Another common pitfall is inconsistency between words and behavior. If she asks about your values, goals, or priorities, and your answer doesn't align with your lifestyle, it creates a subconscious friction. She senses it immediately. Authenticity isn't optional. It's the foundation of trust and attraction. This is why older men who have already navigated life enough to develop a coherent sense of self often excel naturally. Their words and actions are aligned, and that alignment communicates reliability in a way younger men struggle to replicate. A fourth mistake is overperforming. Some men try to impress her with accomplishments, social status, or stories meant to showcase dominance. The irony is that this often backfires. When a woman is drawn to an older man, she's rarely measuring you by external metrics alone. She's assessing internal metrics, emotional resilience, integrity, and consistency. Overperforming can feel like a mask, creating distance rather than connection. Subtlety, calm confidence, and presence will always outweigh surface-level display. Lastly, many men underestimate the power of silence. When she asks these questions, an uncomfortable pause often arises. Younger men tend to rush to fill it, fearing judgment, but silence, used intentionally, demonstrates reflection and emotional depth. It communicates that you are thoughtful, measured, and confident enough to pause rather than react impulsively. She notices it instantly, even if she can't articulate why. Understanding these mistakes is crucial because it reframes the dynamic. She isn't testing you to catch you out or play games. She's observing whether you embody traits that signal stability, maturity, and reliability. By avoiding over-explaining, defensiveness, inconsistency, overperforming, and rushed responses, you naturally step into the qualities she's looking for: composure, authenticity, and calm authority. When you internalize this, the two questions shift from being tests you fear to opportunities to demonstrate your inner strength without trying. Attraction, in this context, becomes a byproduct of alignment between your values, your actions, and the quiet confidence that older men often radiate naturally. To truly understand these two questions, you need to see the bigger picture: why women are drawn to older men in the first place. It isn't about age alone, or financial security, or life experience in isolation. It's about the psychological signals that older men naturally emit: emotional stability, measured confidence, and a sense of presence that communicates safety without words. Women who are attracted to older men are often wired to seek reliability and emotional consistency. From an evolutionary and psychological perspective, this isn't shallow or transactional. It's deeply rooted in how humans assess trustworthiness and long-term potential. When she asks about conflict or priorities, she's tapping into this instinct. She's trying to understand whether you operate from a place of composure, judgment, and self-awareness, or from impulsivity, defensiveness, or inconsistency. Think of it this way: when she asks how you would handle a challenging situation, she isn't evaluating a single scenario. She's scanning for patterns in your thinking and emotional response. She wants to see a man who has internalized experience, who approaches life with perspective rather than reaction, and who can maintain clarity even when the stakes are high. These qualities signal reliability, which triggers attraction on a subconscious level. Similarly, when she asks about your priorities, she's assessing alignment and authenticity. She wants to see that your life has structure, that your decisions are guided by consistent values, and that your words are not disconnected from your actions. This isn't about impressing her. It's about conveying that you are someone she can trust, someone whose presence is emotionally grounding. That sense of security is incredibly magnetic, and it's something many younger men, still learning themselves, cannot project naturally. Here's the subtle truth. She's not consciously aware of all these calculations. She doesn't need to analyze why she feels drawn to older men. It just happens. But the two questions are her way of checking the underlying traits that her instincts are already searching for. Your composure in conflict and your authenticity in values are signals she interprets almost instantly, often before she consciously registers them. Understanding this gives you a profound advantage. You no longer approach these moments as tests to be passed in a superficial way. Instead, you recognize them as opportunities to demonstrate stability, clarity, and alignment. These qualities resonate far beyond words. They are perceived, felt, and remembered. They create trust, admiration, and ultimately attraction that feels effortless because it isn't manufactured. Attraction in this context is not about charm, manipulation, or being flashy. It is about being fully present, consistent, and grounded. When you embody these traits, the questions themselves become less significant because she senses the answers naturally in your energy, your demeanor, and your presence. And that's the secret many men miss. Women aren't just evaluating what you say. They are responding to who you are on a deeper psychological level. Now that you understand the two questions women unconsciously use to assess older men, the insight becomes clear. Attraction isn't about charm, bravado, or rehearsed lines. It's about presence. It's about consistency between who you are, what you value, and how you handle life's inevitable pressures. These two questions are simply windows into your inner world, and how you respond signals whether she can trust, respect, and ultimately feel drawn to you. When a woman asks about conflict, she's looking for emotional resilience. When she asks about your priorities, she's scanning for authenticity and alignment. Many men stumble because they treat these questions like challenges to be won. But the truth is that they are opportunities. Opportunities to show calm authority, measured thought, and integrity without trying. Older men succeed here because they've lived long enough to understand that attraction grows quietly from stability, not performance. What makes this powerful is subtlety. You don't need to impress her with stories, status, or grand gestures. You demonstrate strength through presence, patience, and consistency. The way you carry yourself in these moments speaks louder than words ever could. Your calm, authentic energy communicates security, reliability, and wisdom, qualities she notices instantly, even if she can't articulate why. When you internalize this, you stop approaching interactions as tests or games. You embody the traits that naturally attract women who seek depth, stability, and trustworthiness. You respond thoughtfully, live intentionally, and carry an energy that resonates on a subconscious level. Ultimately, the lesson is simple. Women who crave older men aren't testing your knowledge. They are sensing your character. Master these moments, and you don't just answer questions, you become the kind of man who commands respect, trust, and genuine attraction effortlessly. Attraction in this context is not about charm, manipulation, or being flashy. It is about being fully present, consistent, and grounded. When you embody these traits, the questions themselves become less significant because she senses the answers naturally in your energy, your demeanor, and your presence. And that's the secret many men miss. Women aren't just evaluating what you say, they are responding to who you are on a deeper psychological level.